You're tuning into the Journey to Your Best Self podcast, where we explore the past holistic well-being, personal growth, and living a fulfilling life. Each episode, we bring you insightful conversations, practical tools, and inspiring stories to help you integrate your mind, body, and spirit on your journey to becoming your best self. Let's dive in and embark on this journey together. And welcome back to the Journey to Your Best Self podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian O'Neill, and as always, I'm joined by my sister and co-host, Tara O'Neill, clinical hypnotherapist, certified life coach, and yoga instructor. Today, we're honored to welcome a truly inspiring guest, Tania Ho, intuitive soul guide and the founder of Museflower Retreat and Spa in Chiang Rai, Thailand. Tania has dedicated her life to helping others connect with their intuition and embracing meditation in a way that feels accessible to all and empowering. Through her retreats and holistic offerings, Tania has created a sanctuary where guests can find clarity, heal, and grow spiritually in a peaceful, nurturing environment. So today we'll dive into the universal practice of meditation, explore some of its styles, and really find out what's going 12 time zones away. All throughout the world, there is that connection. Tania will hopefully also share some insights on breaking down myths about meditation, integrating spirituality into your daily life, and finding a powerful connection between nature and self-discovery. All things that we love to learn more about at Year One Self and on Journey to Your Best Self podcast. So, audience members, there's a ton of stuff to get out of the next 45 minutes to an hour. And without any further ado, Tania, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor to be here and have this chance to connect with you too.
Absolutely. And Tara, hello as well.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Two different time zones, as Brian was saying, but the wonder and beauty of technology is bringing us together. So thank you, though, for being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things that I always like to ask about, I'd like to just get out of the way now. One of the projects that we have going on is exploring vectors and different energy centers around the world and places where, whether it's the Earth's energy or the energy of the people there or the generations that have lived there or the societies there or something that attracts people. One of the places, there are several that come up quite a bit. One of those is certain areas in Thailand. Could you talk about why you think that is? There are many different reasons, perhaps, but can you give us a sales pitch or maybe your background and interpretation of why you chose to make your home base in Thailand and what makes it special?
Well, thank you for that question. And it's a really good question for me to think about. So I always felt like it's not like me choosing Thailand, but more like Thailand choosing me. And it was really after graduating from college, I have like a few different options where I could work. And it was really my intuition, like that brought me here to Thailand. Even, on paper, like the job offers, like somewhere else was better, but like, it was just like the feeling of, oh yeah, I want to come to Thailand. And I just feel like Thailand, it's maybe just of the religion and the culture, like generally people are very accepting of different religions, different points of view, different spiritual practices. So maybe that's why I feel, there are a lot of people coming to Thailand to either experience, like healing or to offer healing. A lot of expats come to Thailand to do that as well. So I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why we can stay here for so long, because just the local people are very accepting and very open to different practices.
And speaking of expats, can you share with us, where you were prior to making that move as far as like college and before that even?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Hong Kong. So, it's from the city. I grew up in Hong Kong, and then I went to the States for university, for school, and to study hotel management. So that was my background. I came to Thailand was to work for this company. My focus was in spa management. So it was really working for spas, combining my interest in like natural health with hospitality. And then it was after a few years, then I quit my job and I attended a retreat myself here in Chiang Rai, in northern Thailand. And that kind of, I guess, connected all the
Yeah,
That's like why I'm
that's
here
kind of
now.
amazing, and that, I think that will be a theme and undercurrent throughout our discussion is how you fuse everything together into like this perfect
Mm,
culmination of the retreat. You and I had been going back and forth about this question that I was kind of pressing you on about the differences that you see in kind of Eastern or Western meditation, and you had probably the correct answer of that. You know, meditation is more universal than different in places. You know, but I will not be deterred. A different way that I want to frame it is if you think about going to a university in the States where your retreat is now, growing up in Hong Kong, how about not the way it's practiced, but maybe the frequency or the passion about the practice, right? Because one of the things that I kind of find fascinating is traditionally, if you go back, meditation is really not, the genesis is not in like Southern California, right? Or
mm,
New York City or somewhere out in wherever, Colorado or Costa Rica. But it's very popular in those places. It's very popular in the West over the past 10, 20, 30 years, however long, right? So anecdotally, some might say even more popular than places in the East. Do you find that true? Do you find most of the people that come to the retreat centers maybe are from the West? You find it was more popular when you're here than when you were in Hong Kong, or the locals maybe that practice in Chiang Rai. Do
mm,
you find that more tourists are into meditation than maybe a native born, person from northern Thailand? And why do you think
mm.
that is?
Well, thank you for reframing that. And to me, I feel like at first I couldn't really answer your question because it's like, well, I don't really know like what do you mean by like Western practice or view of
Sure, sure, sure.
meditation. So I understand what you mean now. Like I feel like it's more, but to be honest, like Hong Kong is such a westernized city when I was growing up, and I think that
Mm,
in the East there are a lot of Western influence, and so when I was growing up, like yoga was just starting like to become more popular and
mm,
meditation was not even there yet. And then now that like there's more scientific research, people kind of talk more about meditation, more people it's becoming something more mainstream. So I feel like it's more on the global level, like it's becoming
mm,
more popular. Now then Thailand, so I'm not Thai and but then in Buddhism it is meditation is a practice in they do in temple and it's usually often free for people to go to. So, the local people, they would go to, if they want to do meditation, they can go to the temple and they would do the Buddhist style meditation.
oh wow.
So, yeah, so that is something that is, I think, because it's ingrained in the religious practice and it's very much in the culture. So, that is one style which is called Vipassana style meditation. Um, that people can experience that is more in Thailand. I think when I was growing up in Hong Kong, it was also just not um, meditation is not really like people don't really know about it. People don't really do, and I feel like just nowadays, like I said, it's just becoming more mainstream in the Western world, and so like it's just becoming more popular like everywhere. So I don't know if I answered your question, but like just with my own experience, it's just how I see it. I feel like it's more just with time as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, thank
And,
you.
and I would piggyback on that question in how I find one of the challenges is explaining to people what meditation is, whether they're from the East or from the West. We all have
Mm,
somewhat of a preconceived notion of what it might be. And I'm sure you know of the popular answer of, oh, I can't meditate, or my mind is too busy, or I have too many thoughts, I can't sit. And so let's go from like to the very basics and dispel some of these myths that people,
mm,
you either are good at it or you're not, or it's not something for me, I tried it once. So when somebody shows a little bit of interest in it, or is just curious, even, I think people by nature are curious, oh, like what is meditation, like how would I even go about that, right? It seems almost overwhelming
mm,
if they don't even know what it is. So how would you
mm.
tell somebody what meditation is, and would it change based on the audience? If somebody just came up to you and said, like, tell me how I can start meditating.
Yeah. Well, so starting with like what is meditation, and this is not my like quote. It was from a Tibetan Buddhist monk and shared, and I really truly agree. It's meditation is all about cultivating awareness. And so it's not about being calm or having clarity or receiving messages. Those are like the side effects of meditation. And so that's where people fall into that expectation of, oh, I have to feel calm, or like, be empty, to have no thoughts. And when that didn't happen, they feel like, oh, I failed the meditation, or like, it's just not for me. So first of all, just to kind of make that clear, like, it's not about, like emptying your thoughts, but it's just cultivating the awareness. So by having that time for yourself, and you're noticing your thoughts, and you're like, oh, you're realizing my mind's everywhere and I can't calm down. That's already awareness. Like, you're already observing yourself, like, oh, your mind is everywhere. And that's great. And I think the second thing to really point out, it's a practice. So it's like yoga, right? Like, you wouldn't expect, like, you go into first class and you'd be able to do a headstand in the first class. It's a practice, it's a journey. And so the same for meditation too. Like, you can't expect your first session and then, you'd be like, oh, I'm like, it may happen. And what this is great. But for a lot of people that don't be discouraged, because you build on top of it, right? It's a skill, just like cooking, right? Just like, sports, right? The more you practice, the better you're going to get, or easier for you to, you can say, drop into that state of like just feeling calm. And like I said, feeling calm, it's a side effect, right? A side benefit of meditation. And so how to get started, another thing I always love to tell people is that there's just so many different styles. So if you have tried one and you're like, I fail, like, that's not for me, that's okay. Like, there's just so many different other styles out there. So try different ones, and they're going to have one that's going to land for you, because we all have different learning styles. So for me, it's just finding a meditation style that really matches your learning style.
Yeah, no, that's such a beautiful answer, and I love the analogies. It's like anything else, like cooking or yoga or working out. The first time you do it, you're not going to be an expert of it. So yeah, that's beautiful. So how do people find you, and like what draws them to you, and how do you begin finding one of the dozens of different types of meditations for them?
So if you think like you're coming here to Museflower, usually people, they find us on Google, or it's by word of mouth. And a lot of people that come here, they may not just look for meditation, because we offer yoga or like spa. And then they come here to do that. And then they see, oh, there's like this offering. Since I'm on holiday, and usually people are more open on holidays, why don't I try this out? I've heard about this all the time, but never had the time to try it. So they would be more open to try it and experience it. It's not like we have like, it's not super long meditation, like an hour. Usually we say it's 30 minutes. And even within the 30 minutes, you'll be explaining some. So you'll be practicing, maybe it's really just 10 minutes, and then you come out. So it's not like we don't do very long meditations. And then for people who want to get started, I always tell people there's just so many great resources out there online now. And a lot of them resources are free. And there's a lot of great apps also, like meditation apps, that one can also use, and try to free apps to do that. And just so, and there's different, like even with apps, a lot of time I feel like there's like people, we think like meditation is just breathing, counting your breath, and that's like a great one. But there's also like visualization, there's like using mantra, and with like sound, and there are meditation where you can even lie down. And like yoga nidra, for example, it's something called like the sleeping yoga. So you can actually lie down, and you may fall asleep, but which is okay too. So there's like, meditation doesn't have to be just like sitting and holding a certain kind of hand posture and cross-legged. Like it can be also done be lying down, or like walking, or maybe like through movement, like dance, and like more dynamic type of meditation too. So just I tell people, like, try different styles.
Yeah, and you touched on a really important point of almost as if getting out of their environment is helpful. Not that they have to go to Thailand the first time that they're meditating, but I think that's also to the point of having a space that's quiet, delegated for sitting or laying, or starting that awareness practice. And so let's talk about nature, and how nature can be a sanctuary and help get the set and setting, right? So the first time you meditate might not be, at your, your morning meeting, or when you're with the kids, at dinner, right? So you want to have it where there's usually by yourself, right? That would be helpful, or at least in a quiet setting. But then how can nature accelerate that a bit, and even, be a practice of meditation in itself?
Well, I feel like nature, just being in nature, it really just helps to slow you down. It helps to regulate the nervous system. And I know there are a lot of scientific studies, that are proof that like just being in nature. Some people like to talk about like earthing, where you take off your shoes and you're like walking barefoot on the earth, and because the earth, it has certain kind of particles actually that can really just calms you. So I feel like even sometimes we don't think we're doing meditation, and actually that works for a lot of people, because they're not even like thinking like I'm meditating. I'm just taking a walk, like even like walking my dog in the park, and I'm just being really present, like I'm really engaged with all my senses. That can be very meditative for a lot of people. Or even some people told me like, swimming is very meditative for them, like swimming in the ocean, for example. Um so like kind of nature, I feel like it has all these other elements. Like at home it's great, like have that sanctuary for yourself. And like just in nature, additionally, there's just this environment itself like naturally calms you down. So it's something that kind of helps with, like you said, accelerate that calming state, I feel. Yeah.
That's great. I feel like a lot of the things in this brief time you've touched on, we've really explored and been passionate about. We've had a couple episodes. We've talked about some of those things like earthing and going out to nature. And you have quite, a knowledge base of the various kinds, and I'm sure more in depth, of meditation. Was there a mentor, guru, somebody that kind of guided you when you were first coming up into the meditation game, or are you a researcher and somebody that was exploring? If the former, if there was somebody, can you talk about the importance of finding a mentor to help you out on this journey?
Mm. So I do have like a few teachers, but not specifically on meditation. So I also learn like energy healing, for example. And it's kind of like all the spiritual teachers, energy healing teachers, they always talk about meditation. Like that's like the thing. And that was before, I really started a regular practice for myself. So it was kind of like a on and off, like just when I first really started Museflower, it was like kind of on and off with meditation. And to me, um, then I was like, okay, I just want to try it out. Like I'm someone who need to experience it myself. Like if it's really good, like everybody said, like, and to do every single day, I want to try it out for myself. So for me, it was really kind of trial and error. So I've attended a lot of other people's meditations, and where they don't call it meditation. So that's I feel like I really appreciate that too. Like they don't call it a meditation, but actually go inside, it's like a type of meditation. That's why I get to learn like different types of meditation, I feel. So yeah, no, I don't really have one person who teach me about all this meditation. It's more really just trial and error, like experiencing for myself, like what works for me. And also, sharing that to our guests here, and just, having their feedback as well, what works for them.
Awesome. One of the things that we really like to promote, and is a cornerstone at Year One Self, is the mind, body, spirit triad. And we believe that, well, people are missing. It depends on the person, right? You can't generalize. But I think I would say anecdotally, the spirit is probably the area that people are most unsure of, maybe lacking, maybe curious about. They might need some help getting there, because it's the one that might seem foreign to a lot of people, right? You're with your mind, you're with your body all the time. Maybe you've worked out before, maybe you've got on a diet before, so you've kind of done some of those things. You're with your thoughts all the time, so maybe you've tried to work some things out. But the spirit is something that is helpful when you have somebody that can work with you. Can you talk about the benefits to kind of just being open to thinking about energy and thinking about some things kind of greater than your immediate self and the materialistic world that most of us live in? What are the opportunities and possibilities you can open yourself to if you're ready to embrace some of those ideas?
Yeah. So, when before I really like did meditation, what really changed my world view was learning Reiki. So Reiki as a type of energy healing. And and to shift my perspective to see everything as energy and frequency. And I think that just really opened the door to me to, like, of course, to where I am now, but just to be able to see everything as energy. I don't know, just makes a lot of sense. And just also, I feel like then then we know we're not alone here on the journey. Sometimes I feel, a lot of times I feel like I'm alone here, like I don't know what I'm doing, I'm struggling. And to me, like, being open to the universe is to know that, oh, actually the universe is here to support me. Even if there were challenges or obstacles, like there is a reason why. And it just kind of makes life much easier, I guess. More being like, when we say being in the flow, I really want to say easier, not like there's no challenges or obstacles, but there's just a different mindset going into, like, knowing there is the reason why. Maybe I don't know why now, but in hindsight I'll see it, and knowing that because there's all this things that we cannot see with the physical eyes, but I do believe, I call them our spiritual support team, or the universe, the bigger presence is here to help us, to support us.
That's awesome. We haven't done an exclusive episode on Reiki, but so can you give a little bit? We've talked about it, in passing, and with we've promoted it and discussed it with some of our guests. Can you kind of give a little bit of an elevator pitch, maybe for some of the laymen out there, about kind of how that works with the just, I'm not going to do it justice, but the transferring of energy, the practitioner to the universe's energy, the person that you're working with's energy. Can you kind of give us just a little bit of kind of an overview of that?
So just in my own understanding for Reiki, because I learned it for myself, not for practicing on other people so much, but my understanding is that we're learning to channel the energy of the universe properly. So in fact, everybody can channel, everybody are in tune of this energy. But sometimes what happens is that the it's like those, well, TV don't work like that now, but in the olden days you have like antennas, right? And then to kind of get like the channel, right, to receive, like, you to watch TV. And so that's kind of like, for me, like the analogy of Reiki. When you learn Reiki, you learn to, you're like, have this antenna, and then you can receive clearly the energies, and you're channeling these energies, these healing energies, for, when you do it for yourself, whether you do it for yourself or you do it for other people. So you work as a channel to bring that, some people call it, I call it energy from the universe, or that life force healing energy. That's what you're channeling. And then you're passing on and transferring to the other person, and help to rebalance our energy. Because energy, I know you guys talk about chakra, so like energy, we can't see it, but it helps to, that healing energy helps to rebalance that. So that's how I would explain it, is really having that clear signal, or being a clear channel, to be able to to receive and understand that energy as well.
Yeah. And it made me think of, because I also started doing Reiki for myself. And I think that's where most people start, right? We want to, because the more that we clear our channel, the higher our frequency, the more we can positively impact those around us. But you said I loved the analogy of the TV and the frequency and the antenna, because I'm thinking, most people, when we're in our modern world and we have all the things going on, and there's interference, right? It's like the fuzziness on the TV. It's like the what snow. It's like we're just watching, there's just snow, because it's like all of our thoughts,
Yeah.
all of our old experiences, all the junk is there. So we can't
Mm-hmm.
see the TV. But when we tune in to that frequency or that channel, then all of a sudden we get a picture on the screen, and it's like, oh, it's clear. I'm getting a clear message. I'm able to see, hear, feel, whatever the way that the person experiences it. And that's a great way to describe the universal energy. And I think it is a challenge sometimes in the West, because we don't have that life force energy built into our culture as they do with prana or chi or ki. So,
Yes.
I do love when we talk about, to people, so they can understand the universal energy is for everyone. It's not just for a select few. But we can tie that into meditation, helping clear some of the snow on the TV, the interference, so that we can get the TV to work. And, I know there's like 25-year-olds out there that are like, what the heck is it? What are antennas to the TV? But, just ask your father or your grandparents, and they'll tell you about how you had to, fix the antennas on the TV to get a good signal. But yeah, so could we tie that in then? So once you do start a meditation practice, right? So it starts with awareness. There's a lot of interference because we're living in the modern world. So you start your meditation practice and you start noticing, oh, I see where there's these blockages or this bits of energy. So once we start relaxing or calming or getting more into our practice and becoming aware of it, some of those can fall away, or we could temporarily move them to the side. And so then when we move them to the side, now we're starting to get a clearer channel of energy that's coming in. And so let's break it down to how long would you tell somebody to do a practice before they give up, or not give up, but switch, right? So we say, try something for 30 days and see how you feel before, and log how you feel during, and then how you feel afterwards. So is there something like that? Do you ever do like a 3-day challenge or a 7-day challenge, a 10-day challenge of, do this for 10 minutes each morning and then see how you feel and then reassess? Is there a time frame? Because we do like, logically in our our modern world, our culture, we need like, all right, and it's good for consistency as well, and discipline. But is there a little structure or sample you could give our audience for someone that wants to start becoming aware of, starting the meditation practice, becoming aware of themselves?
Yeah, well, usually I will see them more as kind of building into a habit.
Okay.
And so, people have said, like you said, like 30 days. Some people have said like 21 days. Some people it's like even 10 days. And I have done as a user on an app, it's like a 10-day, every day, just meditation for like even just 3 minutes. And I found that, that's helpful to know that I have something I can go with like every day. And for myself, I have done like 1 week meditation with like mantras, like online challenge. And but maybe because people just know it, they already done meditation, but then they really 1 week like kind of really involved in one mantra practice. And every day it's like 10 minutes, and then they just really kind of be able to get into it. So I feel like it's more like, just like with everything's like working out, like the first step is like always the most difficult, like just to get yourself there. And then when you start to build like into your own like rhythm with it, and then you'll start to notice the shift. It took me a while to like really notice how meditation really positively affects me, like when I did the daily practice. And for me, I can't really tell like, oh, when did I start? But then when I look, I said, oh, it's accumulative. It's like a cumulative thing. And so I always tell people it's kind of like brushing your teeth. It's like this daily hygiene thing we don't really think about. So you do it every day. If you miss like 1 time and 2 times, it's like it's not gonna hurt your teeth. But then if you start to not doing for a long time, it may still be okay, but then in the long run, you'll see the effect. So it's kind of like that with meditation for me. That's how I feel. Like you don't do it for a long time. You don't, it will kind of take a toll of you. Maybe you can feeling more stressed or maybe more anxious, but it's not so obvious. Like on a physical body, when you work out, you see your muscle building and stuff like that.
Yeah. I love that. So I would say to the audience is go to those apps, and I have a Insight Timer. So people can go there and they can download, my 10-day meditation. And it's only 10 minutes a day. But if you want to start with 3 minutes a day, do the 3 minutes a day. So do a week, do 10 days. So I guess, the answer would be whatever works for them. But I agree 100% with the brushing your teeth. So, it's you wouldn't not brush your teeth for a month, right? And so it is like, it is an everyday thing, but the beautiful thing is you can always find a different practice that fits what you need at that moment. But yeah, so I think, thank you so much for that answer. I would say like to suggest to people every day, but you can always reassess. So start with 3 days, do a week, do 10 days, but make it so it's every day and get that consistency, like going to the gym. Those first couple of days are hard, but then you miss it. Then you're like, oh, I miss it. I want clean teeth. I want my teeth to
Exactly.
And then
Is there a time that you prefer to recommend to people? Morning,
To
evening, maybe prior to lunch or something? When's the best time that you see people have the most success?
I actually tell people the best time to meditate is whenever you can, because really everybody's so different with their schedules. Like, so for me, I know how, like I understand for myself, like how my energy level goes in the daytime and also, with working with cycles. So like for me, morning works best for me, but I also have two young kids. So it's not the first thing I wake up in the morning. It doesn't work for me because they wake up at the same time. So it's only after I take care of my kids, they have their breakfast because nobody wants hungry children around. Then, like when they're off, like playing, then I can do my meditation. And then, on weekdays when they go to school, I can have a much longer time. One weekend when they're around, it's maybe just like a much shorter time. And so I tell people is whatever that works for you. Because I know like some other moms, maybe morning doesn't work, evening works. So do it in the evening, right? So really it's whenever that works for you.
That's great. That got me thinking about, you were talking about some of the scientific benefits. I could think that as a parent, it helps you in many ways, right? I'm sure to keep, yourself balanced because the energy of children can definitely test your flow for sure. Have you met people maybe from back home or that you hadn't seen for years, or maybe that you went to school with, or maybe you went to, high school with, and you hadn't seen them in a while since you've been, a regular practitioner? That have said, Tanya, you seem, you're different than I remember. Has there been some kind of imprint left on you that, you've kind of changed? Or in the same vein, do people that you've met now that you're a practitioner, from your past seem different to you since you maybe have grown or changed or developed and you're on a different stage of your journey?
Well, thank you. That's a good question. Actually, I do like get that comment, but it's even just like, like friends that I met like a year ago, and then I met them a year later. And then, I mean, usually they would say stuff more like, oh, your skin, it's like so clear. And so what are you doing with your skin? And, I wouldn't, maybe meditation's part of it. There's so many different factors. And you're right, because we're always growing, always changing and evolving. So, I feel like, on an energetic level, that also just comes through. But yeah, it's like I do get that, like just 1 year. Sometimes we have guests who come here, like they're repeating guests. So they come here maybe, or I have guests who come here maybe like 6 years ago, and then they come here again, and then we meet again, and yeah, it does feel different too.
That's awesome, and that connects to something that I was going to ask later, but I'll get it out now. We talk about sometimes kind of jump starting the process, and people don't have patience. I can't wait 30 days to figure this out, or I can't go study for 2 years or 10 temple or service for years before something happens. Ultimately, you have to be consistent and ritualistic, or it's not going to have a lasting effect. But there are things like you had said, meeting people and having people that maybe are more seasoned and knowledgeable help you so you don't make mistakes at the beginning. Talk about how a retreat somewhere, I think, can really jumpstart you and push you forward farther than being wayward on your own, searching for things, right? How can that, after 4, 5, 7, 10 days somewhere where you're with nature, where you're quiet, where you have some of the programs that you offer, can really help people out? Maybe give some examples of, met somebody that came for the first time. They're totally foreign to them, didn't even know where Thailand was before they Googled where's the best vacation destination. Talk about some of maybe the changes you've seen from guests.
So, well, first of all, just coming into a retreat, whether to here in Thailand or anywhere, that it's convenient for you to go to, it's just stepping away from your daily life, right? Like just being away from your daily life and not to like first on creating that physical distance already helps with people winding down, like they're not so much thinking about work and things. And then second, if they're already in nature, as we talk about, like there's that healing effect, just being in nature, even if you don't do anything, you're just being in nature, it already helps a lot as well. And I find that, when we're traveling, we are more open to try different things and to break kind of certain habits. So here, for example, we don't offer coffee and there's no bread. So we were served like Asian breakfast. So for
That's
a
amazing.
lot,
Wait, what was no coffee?
no coffee. Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that you're gonna say there's no cell phone use during the yoga.
Well, there's no Wi-Fi in the room.
Oh yeah,
Also, yeah.
that's awesome.
It's amazing.
So it's designed purposely that way. Now, of course, we don't force people. Like, if you really need to drink coffee, you can bring instant coffee, totally no problem. If you really want to use internet, people, they buy like mobile data on the SIM card, which is very easy to do. It's just totally fine. But it's just kind of like, some people we're so used to like a lot of habits in our life, like just becoming autopilot. And we also serve vegetarian food here. So for a lot of people, our guests are not vegetarian. And so coming here is like really, there's just different things, through food, through the classes, and through like, for example, spa, like just different things to like stepping away from your daily routine.
So
And
it's like
I feel
cleanse element to it, right? Too as well.
Yeah. A very gentle way. So our offerings are very much based on nourishment. So it's very different than like, where places like ashrams, for example, have like more kind of structured programs. So ours is kind of more flexible. So we give guests like a flexibility. Everything is invitational. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. But yeah, just something like small things like that's totally like different, and you're trying something different. And then when people try something different, they're like, oh yeah, actually vegetarian food is not boring. It can be also very yummy. Actually, I can live without coffee. Or even if not, there's like, oh, I would really, like walk like a mile just to get the coffee. You know what I mean? Like, just this is how much I would get the coffee, like do for coffee. Um, and that's where people realize it is starting breaking those limiting beliefs also around us, right? Like just kind of starting to break out of that, like, oh, something is different. I can do something different. And it kind of gives them, I feel like it's almost like this hope, like in a very subtle way, like, oh yeah, I can actually do this. And so the changes you mentioned when people come on retreat, so it really depends because we have like shorter program and longer program. And to me, of course, I can see, when they come here, there's just a lot of releasing happening. So releasing of, some like emotions they may be carrying. It could be releasing of worries, and that, is already, you can tell, even on an energetic level, like you can see the difference, and just feeling recharged and like refreshed. Like from the spa, also like just having massages, like physically, like having that like pampering and relaxation too. And sometimes, it's really, they take away what we offer here is also like a different type of tools that you can take back home. I said, well, you can take back home and you can use it and you can integrate it in your daily life. And that's like the jump start you talk about, like, because the experience here, they can focus on this one thing and they can really experience the benefit of it. And that is the motivation that they can bring back. So, oh, I really want to do this because now I tried it now. It could be journaling, like they've never done journaling and now they've done journaling and it's like, oh, I really want to. I find it really helpful for me, so I really want to do it. So it's not because somebody said that you have to do it. It's because they already experienced the benefit and they feel really good about it. And that's why, oh, I can do this back home. And that become a lasting change.
Yeah, that's beautiful and amazing. It made me think of the book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And so we are, it can break us when we take ourselves out of our environment. It can help us to de-identify with our identity that has been kind of forced upon us in society. So you touched on so many beautiful things. Thank you. What is one book, speaking of that book, what is one book that you would recommend that to our audience that they should read at some point in their life or on their journey that was really inspirational or life altering for you?
So it's not about meditation, but it's called The Artist's Way. Have you guys heard about it? By Julia Cameron. So I absolutely love that book. It is, if people don't know, it's actually a 12-week kind of program inside the book. And, each week you read a chapter and there's all this kind of journaling prompts and writing exercise. And it's all about tapping into your creativity, but in a spiritual perspective. And because artists, we are all artists in our life and we all, we create our lives. So I really do recommend, highly recommend her book I recommend to everyone.
Yeah, that's the morning pages, right? Where they do
Mm-hmm.
3 pages. I think the activity is like writing out when you wake up three
Yes.
three full pages. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, just keep writing, and you'd be so surprised at the release, but also the messages that come through. I
Mm-hmm.
want to go back and touch on when people mentioned something about you that has changed, might even be your skin. And that's such a good point that maybe we don't talk about as much, is how meditation is really changing our biology, and how when we're getting out of that constant fight or flight, bringing us more into a parasympathetic nervous system response, it's changing our hormones, right? Our endocrine system is getting a reset, and it's allowing us to see the positive benefits. And who doesn't want more youthful skin? Who doesn't want more intimacy, or more whatever it might be, more strength? Your hormones
Mm-hmm.
balanced is going to make you a happier person, right? So you drop some of that irritability, right? Because we talk about meditation being peaceful and relaxing. Yes, that's true, but also your irritable bowel syndrome might go away, right? You might lose weight. We don't realize how much of an internal cleanse and reset that the meditation practices
Mm-hmm.
are bringing. So thank you for pointing that out. We might not have our friends and family be like, "Oh, you're so enlightened. I can see the connection you have to the divine," because they're not familiar with that kind of language. But they might say like, "Wow, like you look really refreshed. Your skin is glowing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you been working out? Your hair is shiny," whatever it might be. That's them noticing like you're changing. Something's different. And then a lot of times they'll say that, like, something's different. Like, what have you been doing? Like, is that a new face cream? And it's like, no, like, oh, I'm actually doing this practice. So I think that that's one way that we share and show other people, is through that. You might just say, oh no, I've been doing this meditation practice, or I've been going to yoga, or I've been going to Tai Chi. So thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes it's those little things that we can share with them that will get them to be like, oh, maybe I'll go to a retreat. Maybe I'll, take a weekend
Mm-hmm.
and go. And even if it is a spa or a massage, that's a start. Some people don't even know what it's like to be relaxed. So once they experience that, they're like, oh, I think I want to do that a little bit more, or feel that. I want more of that. So that, thank you. That's wonderful. And your retreats sound amazing. I want to go. And I mean, the no coffee thing is funny, because it's like, I've tried to stop coffee, and it's like, well, every corner there's like, well, let's just, just stop for a coffee quick. And it's like, before you know it, you're back into the habit. But if it's not there, you might not miss it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
Yeah,
thank you
that
so
I
much.
totally agree with everything Tara and you have said. One of the things that I've enjoyed about this conversation before we wrap is that you're so real. You seem like very genuine and down to earth, and it's like, I'm going to give you what I got, and there's no facade. Or sometimes we can get a feel that people are different. You just hit record, and then they kind of, this is how I'm supposed to answer Brian and Tara, right? Do you have a way of trying to connect with people that are like-minded? Can you kind of suss them out? If you go to like market, can you know that's the vendor that I want to go like with? Or if you have a business idea, you're going to need someone's input or have a joint venture. It's nice to connect energetically with people, or to vibe with people that are also in a flow state. Are there some tips that you have or strategies to identify people that are like-minded, or are going to add to, the things you're trying to do, or support you, and not really, push back, negatively?
I don't have any strategies, and I am actually very much an introvert. But to answer that, my answer would be really is to listen to your intuition, and that is, for me, it just answers like everything that you mentioned. For me, that's how I operate. And so coming back to intuition, though, what people don't realize sometimes is, they don't understand how their intuition communicate with them, because for each person, there's you have a unique way of, your your intuition communicating you. And it's very much also related to what I talk about meditation, is everybody have a different learning style. And so when we're born in this world, we also all have a dominant sense, a different dominant sense. So some people are like visual learner. And so visual learners, sometimes they also, for them, maybe they pick up energies, or like the intuition speaks to them through images. But for some people, they don't. It's for me, for example, now that I've done that for a long time, I kind of know, okay, this is my mind. If it's my mind thinking, I'm in like this space. If it's my intuition, for me, it's a knowing. Then for me, it's more like the heart space. And so funny, like you said, like sometimes it's also like, I thought like maybe like, just for example, even like my son was like going to change schools, and then on paper I'll like look at the website. Oh yeah, it's like maybe I thought this school was better, and then when I walk into the space, I was like, it's not better. I just thought, oh, it's actually different than how I thought. Just when I go into the environment and feeling into it. So like, and then just kind of trusting my intuitions. Like, okay, I feel like the other school is probably more suitable. And with like people work with like, yeah, go on Fiverr, look at like freelancers on Fiverr. And it's just really kind of like following like the feeling. And then it's through the conversations, like talking. And then you kind of like, just to me, it's really the suss them out. It's like to feel it out. Like, and it's not like, and that person has done something wrong. It's just, like you said, it's just like, does it feel right for me or not? And then sticking to like your own feeling too, because I had so like a big tendency of like people pleasing. So for a longest time, so it's very hard to say no. Like when you feel like, oh, I made the connection, then I should go through it. And where now I learned to really just trust my intuition.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, we totally agree. I probably don't have as good of an intuition
Yet.
thing yet, but I'm working on it. There is definitely a trust there as well. That's awesome, though. Tara had asked a question that she loves to ask. I do like to touch on this once before we wrap. You had mentioned the meditation after you get the kids fed, the hungry kids fed in the morning. Is there something that you're clearly very busy, entrepreneur, got a lot going on, raising the family? Is there something that is part of Tania's definitely daily routine that she has to do? If you skip a day or two, you're kind of off kilter. What are a non-negotiable or two that you really need to continue on this journey?
Yeah, so definitely I besides Reiki, I've learned another energy healing modality. It's called magnified healing. And so in the magnified healing practice, there's a daily practice. So what the daily practice does is really like kind of clearing your energy, like reconnecting your energy to the earth, to the universe, kind of building we call like the light body. So that I do every single day. And then meditation, I do also do every single day, except sometimes when I'm traveling, it's a little bit difficult. And even my kids, like, I teach them, I tell them, I say, mommy really needs this to stay like calm and like sane. And they understand that. And sometimes, I'll invite, they can join me in my meditation. So now they know, like they know that's what I do. Sometimes they don't. And then they're like, okay, I'll find you after your meditation. So that's definitely something important. And journaling also for me. It has a big one, does really help me a lot.
Ooh, and what was did you say magnified healing?
Yes, magnified healing. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to look into that. I've not practiced that before, so thank you.
Yeah, we always say we're going to guide people, but we're always learning
Always
as
learning.
well, right? So that's
Yeah.
amazing. Maybe next time we'll reconnect and we can go into that a little bit. We've definitely learned a lot, and there's even more because people are going to reach out and connect and look for you online after this great episode. Your favorite spots to provide people information about your retreat online. Where can they find you? What can they find there? Can you talk about this big developing retreat that's going to be coming this December as well?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. So people can find our information, museflower.retreat.com. And Museflower is one word. So muse as in MUSE and then flower. And then, yes, so my friend Yumin and I, it's the third year we're running this retreat. It's called Sacred Rest with Nature Retreat. So we talk a little about nature, and it's designed to be at the beginning of December. So It's a time for people to really take a rest before like all the busyness of like the end of the year and Christmas like holiday coming, to have that time to recharge, and through that to start to have this clarity of kind of having this authentic intention for the next year. So it's really preparation for the next year as well. So there's different kind of rest invitations, we call, for people to experience in this retreat, including like forest bathing, yoga nidra. So that's by my friend Yumin. And then I do the other different types of meditation, like shamanic journeying. We do like cacao ceremony. We do like fire ceremony, where we write down things that we want to let go, and then we're going to burn in the fire. So there's going to be a third year doing it. Like we've done it for 2 years already, and every year has been very transformational for our guests. And it's a 6-day, 5-night retreat. So for this year, it's going to be December 5th to 10th, 2025. So if anybody wants to come to Thailand during this time, please, if this feels resonated with you, you can come check out our website.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
awesome. And we'll leave everything in the show notes. Again, we've been chatting with Tania Ho. Tania, pleasure meeting you. Hopefully we can definitely do this again. Keep in touch.
Yeah. And hopefully you have time to come to Thailand to come and visit us here too.
All right, we're putting
Absolutely.
on. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Journey to Your Best Self podcast. We appreciate you being part of this community. For more resources, insights, and ways to connect, head over to youroneself.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and Overcast. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep aligning your mind, body, and spirit, and peace, love, and self-discovery.